Hey guys, Adam with Equipment Door. Well, this is going to be part 2 of our knife test series. This is a medium-sized fixed blade. We're going to go over our S.O.G Northwest Ranger, our Fallkniven F1, our Ontario Specs Plus Air Force Survival Knife, our S.O.G Seal Pup Elite, Cold Steel Master Hunter, and finally a custom job from FishWolf Knives. So this will be part 2. If you guys haven't had a chance to check out part 1 or the previews when I go over all the specs of blade, make sure to check those out as well. This one is not going to be as long as the last one, but one thing I wanted to address right here at the front is I got some comments in reference to the sharpness of the knives. One comment being make sure all the knives were sharpened before the test. The other comment being if your knives are sharp, they'll all perform. But one thing that I want to be critical with is the sharpness test does 2 things. One, we all expect to have a sharp knife when we make a purchase, especially on some of these knives which can go up to almost a $200 range. That's the first thing. I expect as a consumer that the product to be ready for me to use when I purchase it. The other thing that we're doing when we did the sharpness test is we established a point of reference on how well the knife was out of the box for the sharpness, and also we can go back and look at how it performs doing the exact same test after we use a knife. That will also establish the edge retention of the blade. So if we go back and the knife was cutting very well when we first used it on the paper, but then after the series of tests it's not as performing as well as some of the other knives, it's obvious that the edge retention for that knife is not as high quality as some of the other pieces. So that's the second reason that we do that. Alright guys, so let's get started with another simple test in reference to rope cutting. Alright guys, I got a simple piece of 550 paracord, and this test is going to do 2 things. We're going to gauge the overall sharpness of the blade by doing a simple push cut. Now what that means is I'm just going to apply forward pressure towards the strand, and as you guys can see, nothing's happening. Alright, I'm going to change the area where I can see that I did initiate a cut, but it wasn't enough to go through. This is the Cold Steel Master Hunter. And next I'm going to drag a little bit, if I can. There we go, nice clean cut. Alright, let's try something like the Fallkniven F1. Just some forward pressure. You guys see the difference there? Much sharper. Try that one again. Just some forward pressure, came through. Doing some slicing, also came through. So that's something you guys can actually see the difference in the sharpness of the blade. Now we're going to go to the Seal Pup Elite. We're going to do this one 2 ways. We're going to do more towards the belly. Nothing. And then more towards the serrations. Let's go ahead and get in the new area. That one almost went through with the belly. More towards the serrations. Nothing. So let's go. Serrations, very easy to initiate a cut with the slice. Even easier with the straight edge. All right, let's go to this FishWolf knife. Let's do the pressure cut. Nope. Did initiate a cut though, just couldn't get it through there. And with the slice, oops, that wasn't good at all. Let's try this again. There we go. And that first time was user error. Oh, it's wasting paracord over here. All right, now let's see how this Northwest Ranger's been doing. Very well. See the straight pressure cut? Ooh, there it is again. I've been very impressed by this knife thus far. And of course that was actually a little bit harder to do. So you guys can definitely see the sharpness difference there. All right, let's try this Ontario. Nope. Switch areas. It took 2 passes. Try that one again. That might have been. There we go. All right. So you guys can see the difference there, and I'll just illustrate this again with the S.O.G. Just a straight pressure cut. There we go. Slip it on the cordage there for a second. And the Fallkniven is actually very, very sharp. All right, so excellent, good stuff. So that one, the Fallkniven, is definitely going to win out. Much sharper, followed by the S.O.G. The rest of them, you know, they cut pretty well, but not as well as these two. These two actually made the straight cut, pressure cut. The next test we're going to do is the good old batoning test. I did grab some sunglasses to use as safety glasses. One of my subscribers did suggest that. Thank you very much. I appreciate that you're worried about my well-being, and you're absolutely right. I should have some eye protection while performing some of these tests, especially when I'm bashing a piece of steel with a wooden baton. I'm going to start off with the Specs Plus knife, because I think that'll be able to give us some more manageable pieces to perform the batoning test. Now, it's almost foolish to baton with this size of knife, but I do believe that it is a good test, especially in reference to wilderness survival, because, you know, if you're in a wilderness survival situation, batoning is something that you're going to have to do if you only have a knife on you. You know, I've really gotten into the habit of bringing my wildlife axe from Wetterlings. I love that axe. It's an awesome tool, and between that and a good knife, it's pretty much all I need. I do have a couple pocket chainsaws as well, but, you know, just a good old-fashioned test. Especially see how durable these knives are. As you can see, I got a nice baton that I made here. We'll see how well it's going to do. I'm not letting Ace chew this one up. No problem with this big meaty bastard. Has an edge on that clip point, so that is actually digging into my baton a little more than I would like. Good stuff. FishWolf's looking good. All right, we got a little bit right here. We'll try this S.O.G. S.O.G. did pretty well. Now I expect this Cold Steel Master 100 to perform well, because it is one of the thickest of the series, but it is also one of the shorter ones, so that could constitute a problem. Let's give it a little bit more meatier section to that was not bad. It's one of the reasons I'm not super crazy about the full flat grinds. I think it makes batoning more difficult because it just gives me more drag. The old Northwest Ranger does. Not bad at all. Let's try this Fallkniven. This is going to be difficult. Tell you, man, God, I love a convex edge. Starting to wear a little bit of that coating off. So good stuff. We were happy about that. Very difficult test for these guys, just because they're not made to do this. But I think everyone was pretty successful. The Northwest Ranger did scare me a little bit on that baton, but it did snap back, so we're not upset with it. Let me tell you though, these handles do not absorb any energy. That thing is hard to hold onto. I mean, it's just like the wooden handle was easier to hold on to. All right, guys, I think that's going to be it for me. All right, well, right off the bat, this guy's was probably the best batoning. Well, I don't know. Even though this is this isn't a full flat grind. They both did pretty well. I did get caught up on this double edge back here, so that was a problem. But did pretty well, and I'm starting to wear off some of this coating. I imagine when I got through that coating it'd be better. The rubber guard though, I ate up a little bit. Doesn't seem to be bad. The FishWolf did pretty well. I mean, maybe it's just because of the blade length, there was more to grab onto, and even though this thing is 1/8 of an inch, did awesome. The Fallkniven, of course, for its size, did amazing. I mean, the convex edge, I just think that personally makes less drag and really helps you out with splitting the material. The seal pup didn't do bad. We put it through some tests. I really had a difficulty with the Cold Steel Master Hunter. I thought that it would perform better, and I just think it was the amount of drag from the full flat grind, and also this is one of the shorter blades, so that wasn't doing as well. But you know, I still like the knife just for batoning, and like I said before, batoning isn't really the strong suit. And you know, this actually didn't do bad. Once we got in there, we were able to slice it down, but because of the wood, I was very concerned about bending it, but it looks pretty straight. There was a bend in it, and I pulled it out and it was okay. So guys, let's go back to the final sharpness test. Still not bad. It's getting it done. Kind of difficult to initiate a cut. It's funny, the more I work off all the oil, the better off this knife does. See how the Cold Steel did. A little bit better than the other guys, but still, there's obviously some ragged parts in there. It's not bad. All right, that's a little bit better. Fresh piece for our S.O.G. Serration is still doing about what I thought they'd do. Not bad. Let's see how this Northwest Ranger does. Wow. Good stuff. In our Fallkniven. Ooh. That might just been the paper though. Right there in that weird area. There we go. That might have just been user error, folks. All right, guys, so finally, let's get the test results here. We'll start off with the Ontario. All in all, I think it performed pretty well, especially for the price. I like the feel of the handle, the ergonomics. The sheath isn't bad either. A couple upgrades, you know, throw in some 550 cord, maybe a pocket on the sheath would really, you know, sell that one finally. But for the price point of 40 bucks, I really think you can't go wrong with something like this. So if you guys are looking for a low budget type survival knife, especially something for you know, maybe youth, I think this would be a great for a young man or a young lady who's getting into the outdoors and wilderness survival. The only thing that I'm really concerned about is this, you know, sharpened edge back there, which isn't even that sharp after the batoning, you know, bashing it with the baton. But all in all, a great knife. I don't see any visible damage on the blade, so it did pretty well. Good job. The Fallkniven F1 is amazing. Is amazing steel, amazing knife. The one thing though I got to say is that, to be honest, I really don't think the price point is there for this one. I do love my Fallkniven Iden. It's a great knife. For me personally, I think it's just a little too small, and that's the width of the handle. But I mean, it performed outstanding. It did well on everything, even the batoning test. It was actually one of the best batoners for the size. Really got in there and did work. The sharpness test, of course, it retained its edge. I don't see any visible issues with the edge on this one as well. Wearing some of that coating off, which I don't really have a problem with. But this kind of just goes to the fact, if you're going to pay extra money for extra coating, I mean, this stuff really only, you know, is really only useful for blades that aren't stainless. Of course, this is a stainless blade. So the outside coating that it's laminated with is a stainless type steel. So the coating for this is really not needed. You know, if that's something that you like just because of style, then I say go for it. But if you're going to use it, you're going to wear that coating off very quickly. So if there's extra money, I'm not sure if there's extra cost associated with that coating, but I say ditch it and leave it behind. The Fallkniven F1 is a great knife. A little bit more size for me personally, and the handle would serve better, but I kind of have that in my Fallkniven Iden, so there's no real complaints there. The Cold Steel Master Hunter is a great knife, and I think it served all its purposes, but I'm kind of disappointed that it didn't perform as well as some of the other ones. Its size, you know, there's no visible damage in the blade. It's still pretty sharp, but the sharpness out of the box isn't you know, isn't quite there as some of the other knives. The batoning was a little bit difficult. I do love the handle and love the sheath though. Both great points. I think it'll do well for you, and it's kind of the SRK's little brother, so I think it's great on that one. What I would like to see with this is actually a convex edge out of the box, or maybe throw a convex edge on there, and I might keep this one for myself. The other ones I'm probably, you know, one of these I'm going to give away, be the FishWolf knife, and some of them I might give away later as prizes for our members area. But I might throw a convex edge on this one and see how it does. I like the grip a lot, and I like the sheath a lot. I expected more out of this, and I'm kind of disappointed it didn't shine as well as I thought it was going to shine. Not to say that's not a great knife, I just had some unrealistic expectations in reference to this design. The S.O.G Seal Pup Elite, I could really take it or leave it. I do think it was mismatched in this series because this is more of a fighting knife. The handle, I gotta say, I thought was comfortable when I first used it, but after using it for a while, especially with the energy impact from doing the batoning, if I was doing some baton chopping or something with this, I do think this thing would bruise your hand. I mean, the handle almost feels like ceramic. That's how hard it is. So I'm not really too impressed by it. You know, in reference to the batoning, it held up. The edge still feels pretty good. The serrations, I think, are not necessary. It did just hinder. And as you guys can see, even with the rope cut, you know, they didn't do as well as some of the other straight blade knives. So the serrations, again, even though I know it offers more surface area per square inch of the blade and it should initiate a cut better, you know, in reference to the way these serrations are designed, a little too aggressive, they didn't really do it for me. Now, if you're a diver or something, you're going to use it in that type of area, you might like the serrations. I don't know. The sawback didn't really do anything, I guess, and just maybe choking up on the blade. I like to see a little bit more with the choil area here. Either go and do a finger choil or bring the blade down a little bit more. All in all, the sheath was really well designed. I didn't mind it, but for the price, I'd probably stay away from this unless you're want to get into more of a fighting type knife if you're military or maybe diver. The FishWolf did outstanding. I know I'm gonna have to go put some more oil on this. It's starting to get a little shiny. You know, for a custom knife, it did pretty well. I'm going to be very eager to see the career of Jimmy Foster. He is the designer and owner of FishWolf Knives. He's just a small amateur knife maker, but I like the design. The one criticism that I have for this is I like to see something a little bit different for the material for the scales. The wood was just not enough friction for me. If it had some kind of tread design or something, just give it a little more grab, I'd like. And maybe even shorten up on the handle a little bit, and so the sweep would start a little bit earlier in the backside. But it is very comfortable to hold. I can't say that. I'm just talking about getting control in reference to the chopping. But in all fairness, I probably wouldn't be chopping with a knife this size anyway. The jimping, even though I'm not really big on jimping, actually is not bad on this knife at all. I like the design, and for a knife of its thickness, it actually did very well with the batoning. So all in all, very nice knife, very promising career, I think, to see from Jimmy in the future. And I would highly recommend, if you guys are looking for a custom knife that he'll design per your specs on most cases. And you know, the ballpark range between 60 and 80 bucks for a custom knife is actually a great price. I'll have to say the big winner though, it's going to be the S.O.G Northwest Ranger. I am shocked by this knife. You know, my first impressions is that this would do okay. I'm just very, very impressed by the size and shape and how well it did. You know, I'm not really big on the jimping in the back or the guard, but the handle is incredibly comfortable. The one and the biggest drawback on this knife, unfortunately, is going to be the sheath, and I'm a big sheath guy, so that would be a sticking point for me. But I'm sure you can find another sheath, you know, for this knife. So, but all in all, it did pretty well. I'm really eager to see how this one would go over a long period of time. Unfortunately, of course, I can't do the test for a long period of time, but this might be one that we might do a 6 or 7 month follow-up on, like we did the Becker BK2, to see how well it does, and maybe I'll put this in my kit. There's some other knives on the market right now that have the same width and shape to this knife, so I'll be eager to see if this is just a winning combination for a small fixed blade knife. So all in all, very impressed by this knife. Unfortunately, the sheath isn't up to par, and I do think that this rubber handle is showing a little bit of wear, but I think that, you know, we can get by with that. So all in all, good stuff on the performance of the blade and the design. Good, very pleased with it, and I have to say, I'm impressed. Well, hey guys, this concludes that part of the test. I hope you enjoyed that. If you guys liked this video, please check out equiptanddoor.com. We got some great stuff on the website, especially the members area. We have exclusive contests, member giveaways, forum section, and much more. So if you guys are interested, let me know. I'll give you some more information. Make sure to check in with our Facebook and Twitter pages if you guys want to keep updated. We always got some new stuff going on. The winter's almost upon us, so It might slow us down a little bit from getting out in the woods this year, but hopefully next spring we'll be ready to rock and roll again. Well, hey guys, this is Adam from Equipped Indoor. If you guys have any questions or comments, please email me at adam@equippedindoor.com. You guys take care, be safe out there, and remember, if you're not always prepared, you're never prepared. Thanks.